Hello again. I just really quickly want to explain um, what I call camping at base camp on Everest. The purpose of this is I'm going to do a series now, taken from the short collection of my presentations that I have self-published just because some groups that I work with wanted something in writing, but they're all with the aim of sort of translating, which links to our sensory experiences project, which we are inviting can't speak that, contributions from far and wide, from ordinary people, not in an insulting way, but otherwise, if we only talk to people that are already published, their lives will be very different from people who are living lives where their environments and their sensory issues can actually affect them adversely. And our aim is to produce something that starts to challenge and change this. But I just want to give a little example of one of the ways I do this. This is how I see a translation guide. We've got to put things in a way that someone outside of our community might go, oh, I see. Because otherwise, we're all talking to each other. I started an MA. I was writing about, is autism ever going to be part of are we going to be friendly to autism? Will it be accepted in society? Kind of no at the minute. I was writing about sensory issues, but I was achieving nothing. I'm talking to academics who tell me my writing isn't good enough. And then you talk to each other and colleagues who all go, very well done, but we don't facilitate change. So onwards, camping at base camp on Everest. And all of this material is taken from my book I produced, Tiny, but I own the copyright, I have to say that. So I'm not an expert on anything, but certainly not on neurotypicals. But in studying them, because I've been so confused for 50 years, I have seen and read lots. But then more recently, I read and researched the neurodivergent or neurodifferent brain. So I know that they're different. Some people don't like the term neurotypical because of the typical bit. Dr. Luke Bearden recommends the use of predominant neurotype, PNT. I'm more interested in the message and the meaning. And I think if we're obsessed by terminology and we're continually offended by words, we might overshadow the message. But, I will always respect the way that someone chooses to identify it, of course. So a common myth, misconception, and misunderstanding seems to be that we are not flexible and we need fixed routines. And while this may feel like it's true, no one seems to dig deeper and explain that for many of us, every minute is filled with the unknowns of the next. And then we need to find something just for that moment of regulation, just for that. Dr. Bearden calls them reliability points, and I'll do another piece on this. So camping at Base Camp Everest. An average neurotypical, PNT, NT, gets upon a planet they understand and feel secure in most of their knowledge about it. They know what to expect from their colleagues and what their colleagues expect from them. A meeting with the boss might be worrying. With their special skills menu, they'll know what to say, and more importantly, they'll know not what not to say. There we are. Couldn't even get through that bit, let alone get through a meeting with the boss. 39 jobs, people. This is what happens when you correct the boss and try to give them advice. Whole new episode on that, I think. So, the camping trip. The neurotypical is on a camping trip, and it's a mildly windy day. They've got the instructions for the tent, and they're confident about the assembly. This is an extended metaphor for life. It's how my brain works. Some of the bits of the tent might be missing, but they can borrow a tent peg from someone else because they'll all kind of look the same, or they can find a rock nearby to secure it. There might be some undulating ground to avoid. And if the wind gusts with menace, they may have to work harder and quicker. They may need another jumper. They know they have stayed happily in that tent before and have survived to rise in the morning with the sun. They know that if a storm arrives, they can hastily retreat to the car and go home. They know where the car is parked, and they know the way home. They may be damp and disappointed, but they will put the kettle on and plan the next camping trip. Now, I'm human just the same as you, and I've arrived with my trusty tent, ready to embark on my camping adventure. But I am at Everest Base Camp. All around me are people with different languages and customs. I need to try and communicate with them so I can find out where to pitch my tent and how to buy some food, and if anyone knows the weather conditions for the next day. A storm of snow or wind or both could make erecting the tent impossible. If this happens, then I have to find shelter in this desolate and inhospitable place. I have no idea how I will attempt the ascent to the summit tomorrow, and I have no idea what I will awake to find, even if I will be able to sleep through any of the night. Just like the neurotypical trip, we are both camping. The harsh, unknown, unpredictable nature of my surroundings and the lack of anything known or secure means that my energy levels will drop rapidly. It will be difficult to relax, and when I spill my only flask of hot coffee, it will be enough to reduce me to a heap of sobs. If this is me in the office, you'll think I'm overreacting to something as simple as spilled coffee. You might tell me to stop being pathetic and that I'm embarrassing myself. The coffee is irrelevant. I know it makes it easier for people to look away and walk away if they believe the myths and misconceptions. Stay away from her, don't invite her. She always overreacts. She gets upset at the smallest things. But if you'd watched a documentary of me ascending to Everest Base Camp alone, watched me pitch my flimsy tent in wind and driving rain, watched me struggle to find food, and watched me trying to decipher the map for tomorrow's climb, then you might just understand why spilling my hot coffee mattered. I hope my extended metaphor for life made sense, and it's more important to me we start making sense across communities. It probably is time for us all to be seen and heard for who we really are, and not for what we're not, which seems to be very common. And I do have subsequent episodes about the use of statements that tell us that we are not autistic, or not to worry, no one can tell. Very invalidating and not useful. So if anybody wants to join our Sensory Experiences project and contribute to our forthcoming book, fantastic. If anybody wants to get involved in any way with our community interest company hubs when we get those set up, then marvellous. And any comments, anything else you'd like me to talk about, then please let me know. Thank you. Nice to see you here.